In this video, I want to talk about trading what you see, not what you think. So let's get into it. Hi, this is Andrew Mitchem here, the Forex Trading Coach. Today is Friday, the 2nd of August, and it's non-farm payrolls day yet again. But before talking about the non-farm payrolls, I want to talk about actually how you read the charts. And there's a common problem that many people have is they think too much about their trading in terms of the fundamentals. This came about, I was talking to a person earlier in the week who's looking at taking my course, and he said to me, Andrew, do you know, I've just concentrating so much on the news, on what's out there, and I'm missing these moves. How do I overcome that? And he was explaining to me how he's missed all of this huge downtrend that's occurred on the Australian dollar recently. Now, if you look back on your chart, since around April, the Australian dollar against the US dollar has dropped over 1,600 pips. And even in the last week or so, it's dropped more than 400 pips. So some great opportunities to go short on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. In fact, the Aussie against almost every other currency, there's been great opportunities to go short recently. And if you've been following my daily strength and weakness analysis, you've been seeing that I've been mentioning short positions on the Aussie dollar for quite a number of weeks now on most days. But this particular person was saying, look, you know, I'm reading the news, I'm sort of getting emails, I'm looking at sort of Forex sites online, I'm watching business news channels, I'm reading it in newspapers, and this guy was in Australia, and he's just saying, look, I'm just thinking that the Australian dollar is going to go up, and as a result, I've missed this entire downtrend. Exactly the same thought process he was telling me on gold. You know, everybody a number of years ago was saying gold and silver is going to go up and up and up and up and up. And so every opportunity to go short on gold or silver, he's missed as well. So it comes back to the phrase that I've used so many times. I've used it on these videos also, and I use it for my clients. Trade what you see and not what you think. I'll give you another example. In around 12 hours time from right now, we have the US non-farm payrolls being the first Friday of the month. And who knows what the announcement's going to say. But I can see right now in my charts that the US dollar today is looking very strong. There's some weakness in the Japanese yen, and there's also minor weakness in the New Zealand dollar and Swiss franc. So for me right now, I'm predicting that the US dollar is likely to keep continuing upwards. Therefore, you would expect that the non-farm payroll announcement is probably going to be better than anticipated. That's what the charts are telling me. But also think of this. Let's say the data does come out way higher than expected. There's two ways of thinking of it, because whatever the news comes out, whether it be good or bad, there's always a human interpretation of that news. And so the news may come out as 50,000 jobs more than anticipated, let's say, for example. And you may get a whole group of investors and traders that say, fantastic, the US is booming because the employment's just jumped up 50,000 jobs more than the experts anticipate. So therefore, they're looking at strength in the US dollar. On the other side of, there's always two sides to everything. So on the other side, you could say, well, let's analyze that 50,000 increase in jobs. And other analysts may say, well, yes, it's increased, but it's almost all low-paying jobs. And that's not what the US needs right now. The US needs, and the world needs, lots of job creation in high-paying jobs, in sort of high-powered jobs. So the other person or the other group of people might look at that 50,000 increase in the jobs numbers than expected and say, well, you know, majority of those are just sort of $15 an hour basic minimum wage jobs. So therefore, it's not actually that great for the US economy, and therefore they might be selling the US dollar. So you can see how you get the difference of opinions there, regardless of what the news announcement is, which to me, it comes back to looking at these things behind me here, looking at the charts. The charts tell you which way the currency is likely to go. So use the charts and trade what you see, not what you think. The other thing I want to talk about, and again, this came about as a result of talking to someone overseas, and they said, look, Andrew, what time's your webinar in my local time? And even though my webinar has lots of options of choosing and selecting the start time in your local time, this person didn't understand what time New Zealand time is in their particular part of the US. And that's fine, because New Zealand's tucked away in the corner of the world. But my point is, to be a good currency trader, you're dealing with a global economy, a 24-hour moving market. So therefore, it is your job to understand what the time is in Wellington in your local time, or what the New York 5 o'clock close and open of the day is if you live in London, or whatever it might be. It is your job, if you want to be a good currency trader, to understand different time zones around the world and how it relates to you. For me right now at this time of the year, the charts start on a Monday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. But for those of you in, let's say, New York, that's 5 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon. But you need to know that information. You need to know, if you live in wherever it may be, how that time relates to your local time. A site that I've used quite often is called timeanddate.com, but just something to be aware of. Don't rely on other people to tell you the answers of what the local time might be in your particular time for an event. Work it out yourself, and you need to know that type of information. So that's all for now. 2 really important points there. So let's recap. Trade what you see, not what you think, and also get to understand the world time zones to be a good currency trader. That's it for now. This is Andrew Mitchem, the Forex Trading Coach. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you this time next week.